Before Regular Show The Lost Tapes releases on the 11th of May, come with me to recap the most important episodes. Starting with... The first episode of any show is always important because it sets the tone not only for the rest of the season, but for the entire show. And the very first scene we get in Regular Show is of two grown men play wrestling against a Hulk Hogan doll. By the way, they didn't even win the fight because they busted a Rigby-sized hole in their bedroom wall before they could finish it off. This scene did a very good job in showing us the friendship dynamic between the two main characters, Mordecai and Rigby, because we find out that Mordecai was the one who was convinced by Rigby to do this in the first place. And when it all goes wrong, while Mordecai's trying to find a solution, a real solution,
ham boning,
Rigby resorts to blaming Mordecai for throwing him too hard into the trampoline. Rigby's solution, by the way,
ham boning,
which is just slapping your chest a bunch of times. The real solution they end up coming up with isn't much better, and instead of asking their boss for a raise like two normal human beings, instead they decide they're gonna sing a song on a stolen magic keyboard. Rigby stole it, and with that we have the introduction of
the power.
An important detail I left out is that this keyboard was stolen from a wizard. Now before I carry on, so far we've got quite a bit of character building, mostly for Rigby, but there's one underrated character trait I'd like to highlight in Rigby that I think goes quite a bit unnoticed, especially in the earlier episodes, and that is that as irresponsible of a person he is, I still believe that deep down he is a good friend, because when he pulls out the power, he says to Mordecai that he should have the honors of naming it. And when Mordecai decides to name the keyboard the Power is when we get our first glimpse of this show being not so regular. It is at this point we're introduced to three of the other main characters in the show. Pops, kind old man, Benson, a no-nonsense boss, and Skips, their veteran co-worker. After testing the power on Pops and realizing it's basically an infinite wish machine, they go up to Benson and decide to test it for real. And to their surprise, it actually works. He immediately gives them $40. And instead of taking this as a sign to just take their money, fix the problem, and go on about their day, no. They go on a joyride montage with cars and jumping castles and concerts and musical instruments. And one thing I'd like to point out is that this montage does a really great job of hammering home one of Regular Show's best traits, and that is the music. Throughout this montage there is a lot of music. I mean, the whole thing is, musical, and the entire episode is centered around the keyboard, the magic keyboard. I think the writers did a really good job of hammering home just how much they care for the 80s and 80s music in this montage. And in the middle of goofing off in this montage, they're interrupted by Skips, who warns them that the power they're messing with is dangerous. And instead of taking his advice, they kill him.
Yeah, Skips, it's time for you to go to the moon.
They straight up just kill him. I mean, not really, they don't actually kill him, they just send him to the moon, which, isn't much better, and they almost kill him anyway, or at least Rigby does. On their way to rescuing him, Rigby sent a bunch of random stuff to the moon while Skips was stranded there. So instead of it being a easy peasy in and out rescue mission, and of course, for no reason at all, he sent a monster that is a fusion of him, Mordecai, and the Hulk Hogan doll they were fighting in the beginning of the episode. So by the time they arrive on the moon, Skips is basically fighting for his life. And even though the keyboard's battery dies, I have to give Rigby some credit here because his ham boning actually did end up saving someone's life that day. I mean, he almost died in the process, but he distracted the monster long enough for Skips to break free. They escape just in the nick of time and are teleported back home, where on impact, they destroy all the walls in their room. So, in what we will come to learn is classic Regular Show fashion, they caused more destruction trying to fix the original problem than the original problem itself. And as payback for sending Skips to the moon, Skips destroys the power.
Right.
Which, is kind of crazy because it's a literal wishing machine. Benson takes his money back and threatens to fire them if they don't clean up the room. So they went through all that trouble just to end up back at square one. And you know what? I have to give some credit to Mordecai and Rigby here. Instead of looking on the bad side, they look for the silver lining. And to them, they see this as an absolute win, because Benson didn't notice the hole. They've destroyed all the walls in their room and they almost killed Skips, but Benson didn't see the hole, and that to them is a win. Overall, I don't think there could have been a more perfect introduction into the not so Regular Show world of Regular Show than this episode. And although it's the first episode that they released, it's not technically the pilot, which is a different episode, which I might cover later, maybe not. I think this episode does a much better job in capturing the essence of Regular Show. It also has one of the best, most unique disses I've ever heard in a cartoon.
You drill bit! What else did you say?
Thanks for watching. The next episode I'm going to be covering is High Skull with the giant bearded face.